for a selling owner.
Well, here goes nothing trying to explain a farm lease. And I'm going to start with the landowner just because somebody actually inquired about what they should expect, etc., because they're wanting to lease their property. So I'm going to start with the landowner. Uh, First things first, um, you need to decide what is a fair market value of your lease. So, by determining that, you need to know approximately how many cow calf pairs you can run on that property. And then you need to take in account for if there's cross fencing, how good the perimeter fence is, if there's a working facility, if there's barns, uh, how good the water is, how good the grass is. So basically, you need to decide, or not decide, but determine how good your place is. Second thing would be is you need to decide what you would be okay with on the maintenance upkeep of your property. Another thing should be is a contract. Now, a contract is not worth the paper that it's written on, but I still highly recommend you have a lease agreement on your farm. Just for the simple fact, it's a nice reminder of what is to be expected from both parties. That way, there's nothing misinterpreted. None of this he said, she said, I thought this, you said that. You know, it cuts out all the BS. So definitely have a written lease agreement, whether you want to do 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. For the landowner, when you are deciding on your farm lease, you need to decide how long of the lease is going to be for that season. I don't mean years or the terms, I'm talking about that lease year. So, what I'm getting at is you need to determine if they can leave cattle there through the winter during the feeding time, or if it's only during the growing season from March 15th to November 15th or October or whatever you decide. You need to decide if you're okay with cattle being left on the property during the winter time when you have to feed hay. If there are any buildings of any kind, whether it's a barn or garage or any kind of permanent structure, I think the landowner should be responsible for the basic maintenance, if you want to put it as maintenance or upkeep. And I'll give you an example. If, let's say, a windstorm comes through and blows off 6, 8, 10 sheets of tin, I really think that should be on the owner of that barn, shed, whatever it may be. I think that should go towards, I think that's what the landowner should be responsible for, something like that. Also, if there is any fence that has to be replaced, and I mean a total replacement, I'm not talking about, you know, patching a fence or replacing a post hither and yonder. I'm talking about, hey, it's time to tear this out, put in new posts, new wires, new brace poles, yada, yada, yada. I personally think that the landowner should take care of all of that. This is probably common knowledge, but also the landowner is responsible for paying the property tax. That should never go back on the person that's leasing the property. Here is something else that I've never really heard anybody talk about, and that is keeping liability insurance on the property, just for the simple fact of covering yourself if somebody was to get hurt on the property, whether they're supposed to be there or not. That is something else that the landowner should carry. I'm not saying that, you have to, or the farmer that's leasing their ground should pay for it. I'm just saying, just as a peace of mind, I would have some form of insurance on the property just for the unknown, so to speak. Another point to touch on is the length or the term of the lease. I really think a landowner should be prepared and okay with a lease agreement of at least a minimum of 3 years. Preferably 5 years, but a minimum of 3 years. And just as a common courtesy, the landowner should always give the farmer 12 to 18 months in advance of, hey, I will be terminating the farm lease, or I will not be renewing the farm lease. That's not a must. That's really not a have to, but it's just common courtesy. And I guess what I'm getting at, to sum it all up, is you need to put yourself in the person is leasing the property, put yourself in their shoes, and kind of go off of what you would expect the landowner to do to you. The common courtesy, the communication. Excuse me, the communication in all aspects of life is very, very, very important. It's a huge key in life. So if I think of anything else, I'll try and add it into this video somewhere. Like I said, some of this stuff is not a must. It's just common courtesy, stuff that I would expect and want when I lease a farm, because I have had some nightmares, and I might share them with y'all in the near future. Anyways, I hope that helps. Got any questions, comment below, and I'll try to answer them. And if I can't answer it through a reply, I will do my best to create a video that answers the question in better detail. So thanks for watching. Catch you later.